Kids Playground!
Hooray!
This is the Deron Harris Podcast. Here's your host, Deron Harris.
Hey folks, what's up? Welcome back to the program. Thanks for joining me again this week. Hopefully everybody had a good week. Hopefully everybody had a good week mentally. My mental focus has been a little blown off. My wife and I are going through something very serious. She's having major surgery on Monday, so please keep her in your prayers. But today, that is not my subject. I'm going to be talking about something else, but like I said, I want to make sure that everybody's mental health is good this week. This next topic I know can affect some people's mental health. My wife is one of them. And I know a few other friends that are also in this same boat. And today we are talking about college. We're talking about college. The actual going to college. Is going to college still the best option for a successful future? Is it worth going to? I know a lot of people who say yes. I know a lot of people who would beg to differ. I know a lot of people who are on some this student debt bullshit is crazy. I know people who have gotten out of college and gotten jobs right away and have gone on to make their lives what their lives are today. And I've known other people who didn't go to college who have done the same thing, and vice versa. I've known people who have gone to college who haven't been able to do anything or don't do anything with what they've gone to college for and have had to make a living doing something else. And on the other hand, I've known people who dropped out at the 10th grade, 11th grade, who have businesses, some very successful businesses now, and live a pretty great lifestyle based on their choice not to attend college or their inability to attend college. I know people on both sides of the spectrum. So today we're going to be talking about that, whether or not it's still a good idea here in 2023 going into 2024. Is it still a good idea to invest all that money and time and go sit down in a classroom to learn somebody else's education or learn some education? Is that worth it? So we're going to start by, I'm just going to break down what I'm going to be covering in this episode. We got a lot of ground to cover in this episode. We're going to be covering the state of education in America. We're going to be covering the burden of the student debt loan. We're going to cover college attendance by race. We're going to cover college attendance by sex. We're going to cover the pros and cons of attending college and the pros and cons of not attending college. We're going to go through careers and business opportunities that yield high income without a college education. And we're going to break down maybe some college opportunities where you might have an opportunity to go to college for free if you're thinking about going in that direction. But first, like I said right up front, we're going to talk about the state of education in America. The state of education in America is very complex and has been like heavily debated for many years. On one hand, you got a world-class education system. The United States of America has one of the best education systems on the face of the earth, and it educates some of the brightest minds in the world. But on the other hand, this system is plagued by an equity and underinvestment. It is a fucking big deal, man. One of the biggest challenges facing American education is the gap between white students and students of color. For example, in 2020, the average math score for fourth graders, now this is for fourth graders, was 26 points higher in math. And on average, 26 points higher score in math than black fourth graders. This gap would, as they get older, it gets bigger. And by the time they reach high school, the average white student is scoring 32 points higher in math than the average black student. That's crazy. That's That's crazy. And a lot of that goes to the poor funding of schools in lower income neighborhoods, in lower income areas. There's just poor funding. No money goes to those schools. And I've gone to a few schools myself that didn't have the best of everything. But I've also gone to schools that have had the absolute best of everything. My father was a high school teacher, and he taught at a famous high school. There was a movie made about it called Lean on Me. He was the athletic director at that school for 30 some odd, almost 40 years. And I watched my father struggle in that school trying to bring adequate equipment, or the same equipment that the students in other schools in the white communities, they would have. We would go play like baseball or football at their stadiums, and it would be so much better than ours because they had the funding. And that was just for the sports programs. I couldn't even imagine the academic programs. So, that was one of the challenges that I personally have been through. Another challenge facing American education is the rising cost of college. That shit is crazy. The average cost of tuition and fees for public university has increased. Get this, over 150% since 1980. So since 1980, the cost of college has gone up 50%. This makes it more difficult, for students to afford to go to college. It just does. And it contributes to the growing student loan debt crisis. It really does. It really does. Not to mention, students of color are affected by this the most. And it's just the facts. It's crazy. It's something that definitely needs to be addressed, but there has been an upward trend, and I'm glad to see that there has been an upward trend in the attendance of students of color, and that makes me very happy. But here we go back to this student loan thing. Student loans. I mean, holy shit. My wife is affected by this. My wife is going through the most intense student loan battle ever, just like everybody else who went to college and is paying student loans. And it's crazy, man. The student loan debt is a major financial burden for millions of Americans, and that is just the facts. As of 2023, and this is fucking staggering, folks. As of 2023, the total student debt loan in the United States is over $1.7 trillion. $1.7 trillion. That's fucking crazy. News for you. You're never going to get this fucking money back. You're just not going to get it. I mean, you're not going to get it. People don't have it. But people do have it. You know who has it? You know who has the 1 point? All the rich people who won't pay the adequate salaries to these people who are graduating from college looking for a career. That's where the money is. This means that it's 1.7. The average student loan borrower owes over $37,000. That's fucking crazy. It can have a huge impact on somebody's life, man. It wrecks your fucking finances, first of all. It makes it extremely difficult to buy a home or get a credit card or pay for anything or save, for a retirement or start a business. And let's not forget the health implications that it can cause. Stress and anxiety. I watch my wife stress about this all the time. I didn't go to college, and I have a different form of stress because of that. My wife and I are an example of two people who did go and didn't go. We are those people. So this is very real to us, and this is one of the reasons I've decided to talk about it. I have 4 children. And one of them, 3 of them are, 2 of them are gearing up to go to school. 3 of them are gearing up to go to school, and one of them didn't go to school. And I'm watching what is happening in their lives. Now, on one hand, I have a son, Marcus, who he decided that, well, he ended up, it's funny, he ended up working for a school, so they offered him an education. So he's going to take it and learn. But previously to that, Marcus made his own way. He worked very hard. He's always been a hard worker. Marcus is a hard-working dude. He actually worked for me when I was a food and beverage manager. And that boy works his ass off. And then I have another son, Deron, who didn't go to college but is an athlete from hell. He can sling the shit out of a baseball and smack the shit out of one, too. But he didn't go to college. And he chose to make his bones another way. He chose to make his bones without college. Now I have a daughter, Annalise, who is anticipating entering college. She currently works for a hospital and wants to pursue medicine. And then I have a 15-year-old, Mike. And Mike is still in high school. He's a sophomore in high school, but he is destined to be. He eats school. He has never had another grade besides an A. He's a straight A student. So he's destined. He is definitely. We've talked about. He definitely wants to go to college. Wants to go to NYU. Wants to experience the college life, and make his bones that way. And my hat's off to all 4 of them. I applaud all 4 of them for whatever it is that they chose. And it doesn't make them bad people because they didn't choose to go to college, and it doesn't make them uppity if they did choose to go to college. And that goes for everybody. My family is like that. I have siblings that went to college that are high-functioning members of society. My sister, Tanya, is a big deal. She works for ESPN. But like I said, I didn't go to college. I'm a comedian. So the spectrum, I mean, it's broad. You can find success in other places. You can find success in other places, but it's hard. It's hard for specific groups. It really is hard for specific groups to attain this. Like my wife. My wife has something in common with my father, and they were the first 2 people in our family to attend and graduate from college. And my wife, and she is Puerto Rican. My wife is Puerto Rican. And of course, if you didn't know, I'm black as they get. Even though I would be considered medium skin black, like mocha, not necessarily dark skin black, like oil, or dark or light skin black, like I guess it would be like some biscuits or something like that. No, I'm right in the middle. I would be considered honey gold if you want to put a color on it. But they were the first 2. I mean, the first ones in each respected family to attend and graduate from college. And that's a huge deal, especially my father. I mean, I'm 53. Yeah, my father's in his 80s, and back in them days, it was hard for black people to go to college because we weren't supposed to be learning shit in the first place. But my father managed to go to college, and he struggled, and he managed to make it. He managed to make it, and he went and got an education. Physical education. He wanted to be he wanted to be a teacher, of all things. He wanted to be a football coach. And that's what he went for. He went because he played football. And it was great that he was able to do that. My wife, she was working, making, the same amount of money as everybody else, She took matters into her own hands and decided that she was going to go to college and try and be that for her family. And everybody, they partied their ass off when I'm sure everybody did. Every student of color, I'm sure, that is finished. Like my father told me stories of my brother when he graduated. He just called and cried on the phone because he finally did it. It's so hard. But like I said, a lot of black students don't get the opportunity to attend college. The rates vary by race and ethnicity in the United States. According to the National Center for Education Statistic in 2020, 64% of white high school graduates enrolled in college immediately after graduating, compared to 57% of black graduates, 54% of Hispanic graduates, and 49% of American Indian Alaska Native graduates. Female students were more likely than male students to enroll in college immediately after school, 67% versus 61%. So that it makes a difference. It makes a difference if you do. Some people, my daughter Annalise, she has decided that when she graduated high school, she wanted to take a couple of years and go into the workforce. And everyone was supportive, and that's what she did. She knew what she wanted to do, and she went and she jumped off into the medical field, and that is what she believes that she is made for. And she's absolutely beautiful. I've tried to convince her to, you could be a model, you could be an actress, you could be all kinds of things, but she wants to help people. And that is one of the most noble things, because that's one thing that we absolutely do need. And I've said this on other podcasts before. We absolutely need more black doctors. She's black and Latin, so double dose, bang for your buck. So I'm very happy, as her mother's happy, and everybody in the family is happy that she is very career minded. But she decided to take a couple of years to go to college. To go to actually work in the workforce, and now she is looking forward towards going to school for medicine. She wants to be a doctor. Yay! Yay! I'm glad with that. I think that's amazing. I think that's absolutely amazing. But like I said, it is difficult. But black women in 2020, black women, they went to college more than any ethnic or racial group or group by sex in the country. So black women are beginning to empower themselves. They're beginning to empower themselves. And that's not just black women. That the attendance is up across the board with students of color. Many, many, many more students of color are going to college. But there's so many more who don't go to college, but they still make their way. So I'm going to take a break. And what I've done is I have comprised of a list of the pros and cons of going to college versus not going to college, and the pros and cons of not going to college versus going to college. Believe it or not, they are both very, very, very different. You are listening to the Deron Harris Podcast, and I'll be right back.
American Express has got your back with cards to fit your lifestyle. Want to unpack unbelievable experiences? Green, gold, and platinum cards are here to help. Need a little cash back? Blue Cash Every Day and Blue Cash Preferred are your go-to. Looking for some more travel perks, bonus points, or miles? That's where our partner cards with Delta and Hilton come in. See if you pre-qualify for an American Express card with no impact on your credit score. Learn more at americanexpress.com/check-4-offers. Your credit score may be impacted if you accept a card. Terms apply.
Now, back to the Deron Harris Podcast.
Talking about college today, whether or not it's still the best option for a successful future. Is it? Like I said, some people beg to differ. Before I went to break, I was breaking down college attendance by race and disparities. But despite all those disparities, there, like I said, was saying, there's some positive news on the front. Despite the attendance rates, there is a growing trend among students of color. a growing trend among students of color who are committing themselves to going and getting an education, to being more committed and focused towards getting their grades so that they can get into college. I'm starting to see more schools where minority students are trying to thrive in order to make that dream of going to college a reality. You see more and more of that, whether it be academic or athletic. Previously, everybody thinks, black folks go to college on sports scholarships, but like I said, we're seeing more and more academic scholarships across the board, and we're seeing more and more people of color starting to go to school. In 2020, the college attendance rate for black students was the highest it had ever been. The college attendance rate for Hispanic students has also been increasingly rising, steady rising. People getting their education. They getting their education game on. Because in education, there's power. It just is. It just is. So before I move on to the next portion, here's just a few additional statistics that I collected on college attendance by race and sex. In 2020, black women had the highest college attendance rate of any ethnic group at 71%. I said that white men had the lowest attendance rate of any racial or ethnic group at 58%. Asian students had the highest college attendance rate of any racial or ethnic group at 75%. American Indians / Alaskan Native women had the lowest college attendance rate of any racial or ethnic group at 40%. These statistics show that there's still a significant gap in college attendance rates between the white students and students of color. However, this trend is positive, like I was saying. With the college attendance rate increasing for all racial and economic groups, I see this as being a positive thing for our future. I think it's very positive. Now, do I think not going to school is negative? No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. And because of that, I am here to bring to you my 10 pros and cons of attending college. So these are my 10 pros and cons of attending college. Number 1, pro, increased earning potential. So if you go to college, you really do you can make some money. You can make money going to college if you choose a profession that's in high demand and the salaries are good, and that's what people are trying to do. The problem with that is a lot of those jobs are saturated. It's hard to get those jobs, but it's not out of the question, and a lot of people do very well when they graduate from college. It's just the facts. Con, though, high tuition cost. Like I said, tuition has increased over 150% since 1980. That's wow fucking business, y'all. It's wild. I mean, what the hell? I mean, okay. So pro number 2 is personal growth and development. So if you go to college, you're forced to get your shit together because your parents ain't there to look after you or take care of you or feed you. And a lot of times they're not even there to help you pay for shit. Now, some kids, yeah, they do get their parents to pay for a lot of shit, but a lot of kids, they're on their own, man, not to mention the people who put themselves through school themselves. Okay, the con is student debt loan. And like I said, it's bad for your mental health. It's bad for your pockets. Like I said, people are owing $37,000 on average and can't find a job, having to be bartenders and shit like that. Number 3, pro, networking opportunities. So you get to make friends. You get to meet important contacts. Most importantly, you do, because other people that you go to college with, they go on to do other things. Some of these people go on to do really successful things. And if you have a good relationship with these people, or you're a popular guy in college, or you did very well in college, then you may have a leg up with one of these people, say, if they were to start a company, or if you were a friend of one of these people. Now, if you were a jock, and you were a dick to some nerds, you might have a rough go of it. But if you graduated, even they may overlook that because you have a college degree and they are familiar with you. But the con is it is time-consuming. It's time-consuming. That's number 3 on the cons list. It's time-consuming. It takes 4 years. It takes 4 years of all fucking day, in a lot of cases, to get your degree. It takes years, and it depends on what you want to do. Like my daughter, she wants to be a doctor. That's 8 years. That's at least 8 years. You're just scratching the surface. But that's hard dedication. But she's dedicated to it. And she doesn't mind putting in the time. But it does. It does. It takes time from you, and it takes time to complete. And it does. It takes time to learn things. So that's one of the cons. Number 4, pro, access to specialized work knowledge. They ain't gonna let you be a doctor without no training. You not gonna be no doctor. I've determined, me and my producer, my best friend, we've determined that anything ending in ologist, you're gonna need to go to fucking college for. Period. That's the truth. Okay, con number 4 to go to college is limited. Not all degrees lead to high-paying jobs. That's a con, and that's the truth. I know people who make more money tending bar than what they would have made if they would have went into the field that they went to college for. And that's sad. That's really, really sad that people, you spend all this money and all this time to go to college and you end up being a bartender or being something other than what you initially went to college to do. And that's hurtful. That's sad. That takes a toll on people's mental stability and their self-esteem. I can see a lot of people being depressed about it, but I also see a lot of people thriving and saying, fuck it. I see people like, you know what? I'm a bartender. I make money now. I'm happy I can feed my family. But the life of a bartender, take it from me, that's a hard life. And after a while, you kind of have to hang it up. And a bartender doesn't necessarily have a retirement plan. So that's something to keep in mind. Number 5, pro. Number 5, career opportunities. So there are some careers out there. There's a lot of specialized careers. That's why there's college. So that you can learn how to do anything. You really can. You really can learn how to do just about anything. You know what I'm saying? It's just time, some money, obviously, and a little bit of brain power, and you just got to apply yourself. And there's opportunities out there. You have to be smart about the opportunities that you choose, of course, but that's anything. But the opportunities, the career opportunities that you have, they're plentiful. There's all kinds of careers. Number 5, con, is limited hands-on experience. They ain't gonna let you operate on nobody if you ain't no doctor and you ain't never operated on nobody. And that's the truth. You have no hands-on experience in a lot of these things. They're not going to let you close a big corporate deal if you don't have the training to know what to look for in these situations. They're not going to let you have these jobs if you don't have this knowledge. And that's just the facts. And some of those jobs are high-paying jobs, and they're going to keep you from that if you don't have, or those jobs if you don't have that experience. Simple as that. Number 6, it enhances critical thinking skills. It really does. Going to school enhances critical thinking skills. It will put you to the test. It will challenge you to figure out things that you never thought you could figure out before. And either you do or you fail. And that's the simple thing to it. Either you figure out and you learn to adapt and you learn to think in other directions, or you fail out, or you're eliminated, and that's the truth. But a lot of people, while a lot of people do flunk out, there are a lot of people who are very successful and have taken this knowledge, even though they have flunked out, have taken some of this knowledge with them into the private sector or the uneducated sector or the less educated than others sector. That's happened, but it doesn't always. Number 6 is a con: opportunity cost of not working. Okay? So if you don't have any opportunities and there's not really many opportunities in your environment and you're not really trying to do anything to make any opportunities happen, then it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you for not taking advantage of the things that are available to you, the opportunities that may be available to you. They're just few and far between. There's things that are just shit that you don't want to do, shit that you really, literally, quite literally do not want to do. The opportunity pool is low, but you can create your own opportunities. You absolutely can create your own opportunities and get yourself to a position that's pretty comfortable, if not wealthy. It happens, but if you don't go to college in the long run, it's hurtful. It can have the potential to hurt you when you're trying to move up the ladder, so to speak, to make more money for your family. Number 7, you have a higher chance. This is a pro. You have a higher chance of job security. Now, once you've learned these particular, I'm Dr. Deron Harris, and as long as I follow the code of ethics and I don't fuck shit up, I'm gonna be Dr. Deron Harris until I'm done. Same thing with lawyer Deron Harris. Same thing with architect Deron Harris. All this or anything, attrition Deron, anything ologist Deron Harris. I'm gonna be that until I'm finished working, until I retire, which is beneficial to the stability and the quality of your life. It just is. Number 7 con is changing job market demand. Sometimes you're into some shit, and I'm a victim of this a lot. I'm a former F&B professional. I was a F&B director, F&B manager, whatever you want to call it. I was an F&B professional. And I've gone to work a couple times. I went home last night. I came back this morning, and work ain't here today because it's closed now. And it's closed forever. And now I'm out of work. And we go back to the con of number 6, opportunity. Now, that place closed, and there's really not a whole lot of opportunities, and I'm not working right now. So it's costing me. So you really, it's almost like hot seat or like hot potato. You got to know the trends and know where to look. It really is, it's stressful. I know you think there's a lot of job security in a lot of these, but sometimes there's just not. It's easy to replace a restaurant manager. It's not easy to replace your doctor. It's not easy to replace, I guess for certain people it is to replace your lawyer. It's not easy to replace people like that. So you can go get another restaurant manager, they're a dime a dozen. Doctors are not a dime a dozen because it costs a lot to become a doctor. It doesn't cost shit to become a restaurant manager, just some time and working on fucking fry line for a little while and learning all that shit. But that is a form of education. But it's a very specialized form of education. But it's not unattainable. Neither is being a doctor. Number 8, cultural and diversity exposure. Now, when you go to college, now I don't know. Now that's kind of questionable for some people. I kind of think tank this with some people. It's kind of questionable for some people, but I can see it happening. A lot of when you go to college, there's people there. There are people from everywhere. There's people from everywhere at college. Now, certain colleges, there's just people from here. And certain colleges, there aren't, like I said, they're not very diverse. There's not a lot of diversity in some colleges, but for the most part, when you go to college, you have experiences with all ethnic groups in here because they all go there to receive education, regardless of the numbers of their attendance. If you've come from, a little podunk town in the middle of Arkansas someplace, and you've all of a sudden you've gone to the University of Texas, or you've gone to the University of Illinois, wherever you go, some university is somewhere, you're going to come into contact with some black folks if you've never seen black folks, some Spanish folks if you've never seen Spanish folks. And believe it or not, there are some instances where this is still going on. People never seen black people in person. Yeah. But when you get to college, all that changes. And all of a sudden, you are thrusted into this environment where all these other cultures are starting to affect and influence your life. And they affect how you think and what you think about and the outcomes of what you think about these people. It is really, really, it's a special thing. I equate it to when I'm a military brat. I used to live on a Navy base when I was young, and there were so many kids from so many places all over the world, man. I mean, so many good friends from all over the world, and it was so cool because no one there on that base, as far as I could tell, had a concept of black or white or Asian or Latin or Indian. No one, because it was every walk of life that served for the United States military. It was crazy. And it was kids that were from, and it was a great diverse mix of, husband and spouses. I mean, husband and wife matches. I mean, which produced some of the most incredible looking people, just incredible, diverse looking people, just great, just awesome to be around, just the incredible amount of culture, rich culture. I learned things about other, like Filipino culture. I learned that I love a dish called punsit, and I'd never heard of that shit before. I also learned that I loved lumpia. Never heard of that shit before either. Before I moved to San Diego and met some Filipinos. Never heard of that shit before. So when you get to college, there is a large opportunity for to broaden your horizons, or broaden your understanding of other races, as opposed to what you've been told in your individual community. Because rest assured, a lot of it that you're being told in your community is simply not true, and you find out a lot of it when you get to college. You really do. You find out a lot about what people. Oh man, don't go by there because this, that. Oh man, my homeboy's from there. That's just stupid to say because he took me there, and it's not like that at all. Oh, okay. Because people are talking out of their ass. They talk out of their ass a lot. So, rule number one before you go, then don't listen to people talking out of their ass, okay? Listen to your own shit. Anyway, number 9, potential for, alternative path. A con is an alternative path to success. That's number 8. Sorry about that. Number 9 is access to resources in college. Libraries, labs, etc. Number 9, con, is potential for degree inflation. So if you wanted to, the shit is already up 150% since 1980, and it's steady climbing. They're trying to make motherfuckers go broke, trying to go to school. And I think school should be free for everyone. I think school should be free. Did you hear me? Free. And I think that teachers should be paid. I think teaching should be one of the highest paid professions in the country, period. I think all schools need to be funded the same, regardless of their community or where the makeup of their ethnic base. The curriculum needs to be the same. We all need to be learning the same shit in order to be able to compete the same way. Because right now, we're not. We're not competing in the same way. We're not competing, and that's why we have so many disparities. Number 10 pro is social experiences. Yeah, you're going to learn some crazy shit. You're going to experience some crazy shit in college. You're going to probably get laid for the first time. A lot of people, you're going to definitely get laid for the first time. If you've never been laid before, unless you're you're going to get laid. On top of it, you're going to take some great trips you're going to make some incredible people. You're going to make some great friends that you keep for a lifetime. They're going to enrich your life. You're going to have a great experience. as long as you stay focused on the prize and what it is you're there to do. And we start getting off in other shit like drugs and partying all the time. Now, it's fun to do for a little while, but remember why you're there. Remember why you're there. And the number 10 con of going to college is stress and mental health issues. I face those issues. I suffer from depression and anxiety. And a lot of that is rooted in the jobs that I have taken over the years that I've had to quit or been let go from, or just didn't make enough money, or whatever the reason may be. I have a spotty job history. It really is. And that's part of the condition that I suffer from. And I also suffer from MDD, which is a major depressive disorder. And I also suffer from severe anxiety. And it's sometimes it's crippling. Now, I take medication. I do. I've talked about this before on my podcast before, but I take medication for all these things. But I often wonder, I got brothers and sisters that went to college, all of them. They all went to some sort of schooling. I'm the only one that didn't. And sometimes that bothers me. Sometimes that makes me sit in my feelings for a while. It gives me feelings of inferiority. It makes me feel inadequate. Sometimes I feel dumb. No shit. It gives me low self-esteem. It's a son of a bitch. To sit there in a room full of college-educated people and not really knowing how to converse with them. I've gone through this. It's humiliating. And that works on your mental health. That works on your ability to produce, your ability to go out and thrive. It works on your ability to believe in yourself. Like I said, I didn't believe I could even do my podcast. But it's like muscles. It really is. The more you do it, the better you get at it. The more you learn about it, the better you get at it. And I try and learn as much about what I'm doing every day. And that's all I can do. But it doesn't take away the fact that I'm 53 years old. I don't have a college education. I don't own a house. There's some issues here. I have some issues that have come along with not going to college. Also, and I'm not going to solely blame all the issues on not going to college. There's some other issues in my life that have put me in the position that I'm in. But I will say definitely not going to college is one of them. So keep that in mind, folks. That's one of the things that is on the horizon. Now, there are mentally tough people. There are people that have been mentally tough that were able to power through this. But one of the things that really aided in breaking me is the fact that, I have children, and at times I was unable to, because I wasn't working or was unable to work. I was unable to provide for them. And that works on your mental state of being. It does. It works on your self-esteem. It makes you look down at yourself. It makes you think bad about yourself, a whole bunch of things. And it all comes down to, man, I wish I would have went to school so I could have got a better job, so I could have had a better life, so I could provide better for my family, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's the basis. But I cannot dwell on that. I can't hang myself up on that. I can't put myself away and discard myself and just eliminate myself from the equation, because regardless of the fact if I did go to college or not, I have, and I do, and I still contribute richly to the people that are in my life. And that's something that I have to keep into perspective. And that has nothing to do with my degree of education. Now, I'm not a dumbass. I went and graduated from high school. I made sure that was, but I chose to do something else. I chose to be a comedian. I chose to go out and do something different. I chose to go out and do what I loved. Feel me? Now, I'm going to come back. And when I come back from this break, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of not attending college. You're listening to the Deron Harris Podcast.
There's just something about getting away to the Smoky Mountains. Step out on a hiking trail, zoom across a zip line, splash at water parks, shop till you drop, and say hello to the statue of our hometown hero, Dolly Parton. Discover the thrill of visiting the Smoky Mountains and reconnect with those you love the most in Sevierville, Tennessee. Learn more at visitsevierville.com. That's visit SEVIERVILLE.com.
Now, back to the Deron Harris Podcast.
Hey, folks, what's poppin'? Welcome back to the show. Before I left, I was talking about the pros of not attending college. The pros of not. Now we're going to talk about I talked the pros and cons of attending college. Now we're going to talk about the pros and cons. We're going to give you some pros and cons of not attending college. But last time it took a little bit longer than I wanted it to, so this time I'm going to speed through it a little bit. But I'm also going to do them in a different format. I'm going to give you the cons first, and then I'm going to give you the pros. So all the cons first, and then all the pros. Number one, cons. Limited job opportunities. So that's the truth. You have no job opportunities. You have absolute limited job opportunities. 2, lower earning potential in some cases. 3, potential lack of qualifications because they not going to let you be a doctor if you didn't study to be a doctor. Number 4, competitive job market. Now, all these little jobs down here, everybody trying to get them because everybody trying to work. So it's hard to get jobs. Although, jobs are up, it's still hard to get these motherfuckers, especially for certain ethnic groups based on their ethnicity and certain sexes based on their sex. And that is just the way it is. Number 5, less accesses to resources. Number 6, fewer networking opportunities. Number 7, risk of skill gaps. You could get left behind still doing shit that you continue to. You could get your ass left right where you are, and then all of a sudden, this job that you used to think is a great job is a shit job, and that is the fucking truth. Number 8, perceived stigma. People will not give you opportunities if they think that you're a dumbass because you didn't go to college. And people think that. People think certain people who didn't, if they're looking for people for their, and you didn't go to college, they automatically, sometimes they even say college degree required. But a lot of those jobs are starting to come down. People are starting to say, hey, listen, I just need people to come here and work. And they're starting to get rid of some of these qualifications. But there are still a lot of places that have these qualifications. All right. And number 10, difficulty changing careers. Now, that was my problem. I fell into that hole, too. I fell right into that hole. I'm an F&B professional, and I'm also a stand-up comedian. Those are the only 2 things that I do. I didn't go to school, so I didn't learn how to have some business. I didn't go to business class, so I'm not a lawyer. I didn't go to any of that. I didn't do any of that. I didn't go to any class to show me how to work in corporate America. I didn't do any of that. I became a comedian. That's what I did. That's what I put my focus and energy into. I went and learned and taught myself how to be a comic, how to be funny, how to be a stand-up comedian. That's what I taught myself. So I changed that. And because of that, there's not a lot of jobs out there if I'm between jobs. Like right now, I'm not really booked. I'm not really doing comedy. I'm going through something. I'm going through a lot of things in my life right now, which have sidelined me, and now I'm doing a podcast, which, but I'm still that comedian. I'm still a comedian, but I'm going through some things right now that are really kind of, I won't say preventing me from going back to doing that, but I have to take care of some things before I get back to that part of my life. Get what I'm saying? Feel me? So until that happens, my choices are extremely limited, so I can't really change my careers. So that was the cons. Now we're going to pick it up and we're going to go through the pros The pros. Now, these are important. These are interesting. These are very interesting. There are many, many more than these. These are the pros of not working. Of not going to college. These are the pros of not going to college. Number one, no student loan debt. How about that shit? But leave it to Americans to find themselves in another form of debt, or just they're figuring out ways to get themselves into debt. I'm one of those humans. I'm one of those Americans. Number two, immediate workforce entry. So you can, right out of school, start working. And you can start making money. You don't have to wait to start earning your living. You kind of almost have like this head start to life. You kind of do. If you're smart and you play your cookies right, you don't have you can ascend right up the ladder and not even have to step foot in a school or open a textbook or any of that. You can excel and thrive right from where you are based on your tenacity and your ability to comprehend and execute what you are taught. Number three, you have great entrepreneurial opportunities. I'm in that boat. I am a comedian. I essentially work for myself. I own my own podcast. I work for myself. I'm in here doing this for me. I'm doing it for you guys too. I'm doing it because this is what I do. This is what I want to do. This is what I've chosen to make my living. I've chosen this to help me earn a living instead of going and punching somebody else's clock, where I can be my own boss. I can go to work if I want to, or I can don't if I want to. So far, I've been coming to work doing my podcast for over a year now. And I'm quite happy with it, and I treat it as such. And I've fallen into that mentality where it's not something that's frivolous. It is something that's tangible. It is a job opportunity. And I don't look at it as a job opportunity. I look at it as my career. I have categorized it and put those meanings, I've attached those meanings to what I do. I have already done that. I've made this what I want to do for a living, as opposed to going to school and trying to learn a trade that I think that I might be good at or think that I might be happy at later on, only because of the money, only to find out that I'm not really happy because the hours are bullshit, or the job itself is just bullshit, or I've changed how I feel about what I'm doing for a living. But now I've pigeonholed myself into this college degree. But I do have a college degree, and I can kind of jump around a little bit because I do have some critical thinking skills and some working knowledge of the world. Number four. That was a crutch word, by the way, Number four. Gaining practical experience. And that's what I'm talking about. In school, that is the shit I'm talking about. If you go to college, they're going to teach you all kinds of shit about 2x squared divided by the fifth power to pi times 2. Where the fuck are you going to use that shit at? Is what I mean, unless you're you're going to school to be a mathematician or a rocket scientist or somebody where you really need, and okay. But the majority of people just want to be, I just want to make a decent living, not stress too hard when I go to work, get a nice car, have a nice place to live, come home and live good, work on, be off work on the weekends or whatever. A lot of people, they just want, but I don't know where I don't know where I have to spend, but somebody put it to me like this. The reason they're teaching you all that shit is to help you learn how to think through problems. And I can see that happening. I can see that being very deep. So, but you gain practical experience. So if you go to the job and people say, all right, here's the manual, and the manual says to do this, but you get to this job and this dude says, look, the manual says this, but we've all found it easier if you do this, this, and that. That's practical. That's going to make more sense. That's going to make sense because sometimes the manual doesn't even make sense because, processes become outdated or, repetitious or unnecessary or changed. They change. Processes change. So it's always good to have somebody or to teach you that practical or give you that practical experience. Number 5, no opportunity cost for education. A lot of these things that people going to do, nobody charged them to do it. I learned about alcohol and wine and food service and 5-diamond food service, 4-diamond food service. I've learned about all that. I have experience in all of that. And it didn't cost me a dime to learn any of it. I've tasted some great food. I've learned all kinds of things, and it didn't cost me a dime to learn. It didn't cost me a dime to learn how to be a comedian. It didn't cost me a dime to learn how to be funny. It doesn't cost me anything, nothing, to sit here and talk into this microphone. It might cost me some electricity, but it doesn't really cost me anything. It doesn't tax me in any way to sit here and talk through this. It doesn't, this is what it is. Number 6, building a career from the ground up, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm building my own niche. I'm building my own opportunity. I'm creating my own lane. That is a pro if I ever heard it. I can build a career opportunity from the ground up. This is my career. I put it into place. I made the policies and procedures. I enforce all of that shit, and I am the CEO, the CFO. Well, maybe my wife is the CFO, but I'm all the other FOs, EOs, or whatever you want to call them. Number 7, skill-focused education, and that's exactly true, too. I'm focused on being funny. That's one thing. When I became a comedian, I'm focused. I focused my ass off on trying to be funny. And after a while, it's hard. It really is hard. I cannot lie. For me, especially, because I do have some issues. I suffer from ADHD, like all kinds of shit. So focusing is hard for me. I suffer from depression and anxiety, so that's difficult. But I try and scooch all that to the side in order to produce comedy material, adequate comedy material, or good comedy material. And that's my pleasure to focus on that stuff. My pleasure to sit down and rack my brain trying to figure out how to make something funny. I love it. It hurts like a son of a bitch. It's frustrating as a motherfucker. It's humiliating. You get on stage and you construct something that you think is hilarious. You get on stage, you do it, and it's terrible. And you're humiliated, but you go home and you're hungry for it. You go home and you take it apart, and what didn't work, and you run it past your friends again, and you keep doing it, you keep working on it, and you take it back up, and it doesn't work again, and you take it back, and you keep working on it, it keeps hurting, and finally, you have a breakthrough. You have this breakthrough where you've learned something. You have learned something. You have focused, and you have learned something on your own. You've taught yourself something, and it is no feeling like that. No better feeling than in the world. I'm sorry. There might be a few others, but I can't really think of any offhand other than maybe Coming or something. But it's pretty close up there with that. It's elating. It's magnanimous. What a great feeling. Number 8, flexible learning options. I can teach myself how to do this in a wide variety of ways. I can lay down and do it if I want to. I don't have to do it today at all if I don't want to. It's flexible. I can learn at my own pace. I don't have anybody quizzing me or my exam is me taking my shit up on stage and whether or not the audience laughs at it. That's my exam. That's whether I pass or fail, and that's it. And me taking the test is me writing the jokes, writing the comedy down, and trying to get it out there. That's me doing that. Self-paced learning, and again, that couples with the flexible learning options. I can learn at my own pace. I haven't written a joke let me not say that. I have written jokes recently, but previously to a couple of months ago, I hadn't written a joke in maybe 8 months. But it doesn't take it out of me. I think comedy all the time, but I haven't written a solid joke, or sat down and had a solid writing session in 8 months, 10 months. I haven't been on stage in even longer, but doesn't take it away from me because it's still there. It's still that fire that burns. It's still me going through this self-paced learning process of this craft. And that's it. And I have friends that have started after me that have surpassed me, and I am proud of all of them. And I think that it is a wonderful thing. And I think that, and if my time, and I look at it like that, if my time never comes, it's the struggle that I love, really. It's the actual sitting down and writing jokes and humoring myself and laughing at myself. And to me, I am successful. I look at that as successful. And a lot of people are like, you full of shit, D. No. Maybe a little bit, but no. I absolutely love what I do. And it doesn't, and I'm just here for the ride, man. It doesn't matter how long it takes. I'll go at my own pace. So, and lastly, number 10, the number 10 pro for not attending college, which I agree with this 110%, you pursue passionate projects. You pursue the things that you love. And that's really the long and short of it. You pursue the things that you love. The things that you love. The things that you love are what you crave, what you go after. I love what I do. And in that, it doesn't feel like work. It's not work, even though it is, even though it's hard like work, even though sometimes I might even have a deadline like work. And that's another thing. Give yourself deadlines. Give yourself deadlines. Give yourself a timeline to achieve things. But more importantly, don't beat yourself up if you don't achieve those deadlines. You know what I'm saying? But it's good to have a timeline to give yourself so that you can look back and you can see the progression, your progression, and the timeline of your progression. Very, 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 very helpful. So don't forget about that, folks. So, what are some jobs? What are some things that I can do? What are some things that I could do, man? What are some things that I could do if I don't want to go to college, or if I can't afford to go to college that's going to help me in my life? Well, there are some things. There are some things that you can do, that you can learn on your own, that you can make complete careers out of, that are just as viable as a college education and yield you just as much, if not more, in certain situations. So I don't really have a real comprised list of those things, but I just have some things that have come to mind. One of those things is what I'm doing, podcasting, stand-up comedy. Now it's going to take me a while, and I'm here for the duration, and I'm into it. And I know that someday, as long as I'm doing this, I'll be successful at it. And I'm already successful at it. People, you listening, ain't you? So in that, I feel success. I feel successful at it. But there are other things that you can do. Content creators. There's all kinds of content creators, visual content creators. There's people who are visual artists who have taken their art to the next level. I know a friend, not a day in school, he's a graffiti artist. That motherfucker is nasty with it. But he makes a pretty decent living doing murals. Just and what he's decided to do. Is he smart kid? Yeah. Is he book smart? To a degree. But I've never met another graffiti artist like him, not in person. There's some other ones that I've seen online that are, he's in that skill, that same hyper-realism skill level, but he didn't go to college. And he's doing all right. Photography. Photography is another thing. Now, you can go to school for photography. But I used to be a professional photographer. I used to take wedding photos. And I never went a day of school. It was just something that I picked up and I learned on my own. My father gave me my first camera, my first SLR, my first single, before the D. Gave me my first SLR camera, and I learned it was a Minolta X700. And I learned that camera inside and out. And I was able to take some incredible images with that picture that was able to make me some money and able to help me start a small business for a while, which eventually I stopped that business in order to pursue comedy. That's what I was doing. So there are some things out here that you can do. You can put things together. There are There's so many things that people there. I saw these people in St. Petersburg. They did cabanas, beach cabanas. They would set you up if you were a tourist, and they got some heavy traction on it. So much so that now they have competing businesses, and I can't remember what the name of their business was, but the idea is they made beach cabanas, and they would set you up a beach cabana with all the amenities that you asked for on the beach of your choice, within the certain the guidelines and the ordinances of the beach, which they would include spa water, and they would have lunch packed, and all you had to do is show up, and it was like this surrealistic experience where you had this private cabana out on the beach of your choosing, and it was absolutely great. And they thought that up during the pandemic. The pandemic produced so many entrepreneurs. It really did. It made so many hustlers legitimate business people. It really did. Car washing. There's a car wash down the street. This dude is rich. He is rich, and it's not a national chain. It's just a dude with a little metal pole barn building and some water and some soap bubbles. And he has a line of cars, and the reason why everybody goes to him, A, is because of longevity, but B, he does a solid job, and he's out there every day, and he makes a really good living at it. And he didn't have to go to school to learn how to wash cars. And I'm not saying that's you, go out and wash a car, but I'm saying there are there are creative people out there. There's so many creative people with so much ingenuity. I can't wait to see what's on the horizon as far as education and technology are concerned, because, like it or not, there's been plenty of technology that have come from people who were never educated by any school anywhere. People from all walks of life, people from all religions, all sexual orientations, and all sexes. We've had people from everywhere contribute to our society, our global society, without having to go to college. Those people have worked in tandem with the great minds that have gone to college. And they've made beautiful music together, for lack of a better phrase. Sorry about the cornball factor, but it's true. And some of the greatest mergers in history have come between educated and non-educated people working on the same tasks at the same time. And it's great. And I just hope that we, as a society, that we can get up there, folks. That we can continue to push our society forward. If we can just overcome this other social bullshit that we're going through in this country and in the world, for that matter. If we can all get together on some unified, then I think that we can all thrive. We can all thrive. We can all choose to have an education. We can, especially if it's available to everyone. If we can make education available to everyone, there is no limit to what our country can do. And that is just the facts. So I think that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Darren Harris Podcast. Thank you very, very, very much for joining me, everybody. And I want to thank my wife, my parents, for being my rock solids, the day ones right there. My parents, literally the day ones. But I want to thank my wife for being the greatest wife in the world. I love you, baby, and we're going to get through this surgery coming up on Monday. Everybody, please, please, please put us in your prayers. I want to thank my best friend and my producer, Jesse Yandel, for being the absolute man. Thank you very much for pushing me to do this podcast. I'm finding myself all of a sudden love doing. I love it. I love it, and I love you, and I thank you very much for encouraging me. I want to give it up to my main man, G Money, Gentry Thomas, for giving me this platform. He is the reason that I have my podcast, that my podcast comes to you every week. It's this man who makes it possible, and I want to thank you very much, G, for that. And I do appreciate it. And hopefully, man, we can get more stuff out there, more content out there. Not for nothing, if you're really interested, you can go check out Backstage with Gentry Thomas on the podcast Playground. It's an awesome podcast. He interviews some of the greatest people out there. So give him a spin and give some of my other label mates a spin. We got we got the Outcast podcast. That's a good one. Gentry's also on that one, but there's some other talented folks on that one as well. Ramo G, Memphis, and my man TK, they all have a wonderful podcast as well. So check them out as well. They got some great topics. And thanks again, folks, for listening. You guys are great. I wouldn't have a podcast if you didn't listen. I do appreciate you. And please, please, please join me next week because I'll be talking about some other miscellaneous shit. So until then, my name is Deron Harris, and this is the Deron Harris Podcast. Peace.
You've been listening to the Deron Harris Podcast. Subscribe to the show, give a good rating, and everything you need to know is at DeronHarris.com.